He was so excited.
Best damn nation. It is Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you are having a great week so far. You are kicking it with the Best Damn Wrestling Podcast. I am your humble host, Brian Renegade, and with me, I have the best damn crew. First of all, I got the green-eyed bandit. On a dark night in a dark alley, he can either whoop your ass and throw you in the trash can or save your life. He's your mama's favorite wrestler, and he can whoop your daddy ass, Mr. Everything, Victor Andrews.
Yo, what's going on? I know, beautiful people. I know we got you guys going thrown off guard. You don't know what's going on because you're like, oh my gosh, it's Mr. Everything and it's Brian Renegade on a Monday. It's not Wednesday. What are they doing here today? Well, we're going to tell you why we're here today because we got us a special guest here tonight. Now, ladies and gentlemen, really quick, I'm gonna give you a nice little introduction of this man right here. When I first met him, we was at Ring of Honor. I was trying to get my foot wet. I was trying to get my foot in the door. I was trying to figure out what I need to do, and this man was the guide for all the guys who was extras, ring crew, whatever. He was the man to talk to. He was our go-to. He was our liaison. He was our expert. He was our guy. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you world renowned. Okay, this man is known worldwide. Shout out to Titus O'Neil.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, our good friend, my good friend, Cheeseburger. Cheeseburger, what's going on, man?
What's up, guys? Beautiful Monday night. You know, week's getting started. You know, coming off a good weekend. So I'm here for it. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. How was your weekend?
It was good. It was very, very busy. 3 shows. I only wrestled on Saturday, but taking some of my students to a show on Friday. We had our student show Sunday, our YouTube taping. That went well. The kids all did fantastic. So yeah, good. Finally, just trying to catch up on some sleep, but back to training today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, and so on and so forth. So no rest for me right now.
Awesome. So real quick, let's get right into it, man.
Yeah.
Let's start off with the nitty gritty. Let's start off with what everyone I'm sure that is watching right now wants to know: the name.
Mm-hmm.
The name Cheeseburger. Where did the name start? I know the story because I was there and I remember hearing the story at the tryouts. But tell the beautiful people where the name Cheeseburger came from.
So there's 2 stories. There's like the Ring of Honor story, like when it happened on TV, and then there's the actual real life story that kind of like preceded that. So the first story is when I first started training at the Ring of Honor school. I started in 2010. I was 17 years old. About I was coming out still in high school at the time, like 117, 120 pounds, starting to train to be a pro wrestler. My first road trip, we're pitting the ring in the truck, and Rhett Titus comes. Rhett Titus, who's a fantastic friend of mine, a tremendous wrestler. You know Rhett, absolutely amazing. But at the time, first time meeting him, so 17-year-old me, I see Rhett Titus. I've seen him on Ring of Honor TV. And he's one of the veterans of the school coming to help out. And I go up to him, I say, "Hey, nice to meet you." And he kind of looks me up and down, and the first thing he says to me is like, "Man, you need a cheeseburger." And everyone pops, all the students, all the older students like pop. And Grizzly Redwood is like, "That's it. That's going to be your nickname from now on." Because all the students, the new students at the time had nicknames. So their plan for me to gain weight, my first road trip was every time we stopped at a rest stop, I would have to eat a cheeseburger. And that was kind of like the running joke. So people in the Ring of Honor locker room just got to know me as Cheeseburger. No one knew my real name for like a long time. Everyone just knew me as Cheeseburger. And then January 2013, there was a segment with Charlie Haas and the Du Burns Arena in Baltimore, and there was 800 people in the arena TV taping. Charlie Haas is in the ring, big heel, cutting the promo. The fans are throwing toilet paper, trash in the ring. The segment was supposed to be I'm the ringside guy. I'm pulling the toilet paper out, cleaning up the ring. Charlie Haas starts yelling at me on the mic, and then he beats me up, and that's the end of the segment. So what happens is I get in the ring. We start the segment. He starts yelling at me in the ring. He calls me into the ring. He starts cutting the promo on me. And he asked me, "What's my name?" And I'm just like standing there. He's like, "You know what? I'm gonna call you Cheeseburger. You're gonna name Cheeseburger." And everyone in the arena starts chanting Cheeseburger. It's like just an offhand comment, and we didn't plan it or anything. He just said it because it was funny, and the crowd started chanting it. And he beats me up, and I get to the back, and Delirious comes up to me, who's our boss at Ring of Honor. He goes, "Yeah, man, I think we might have something with this cheeseburger thing." And right away, I was like, "Oh man, I don't want to be called Cheeseburger." So I hated it at first, but I eventually grew to love it. But yeah, those are the two stories of how they merged together.
Yeah, I was
Absolutely.
going
And
to
man,
ask you, man, how did you actually feel about being, called
Oh,
the
I hate
name
it.
Cheeseburger?
No, I hated it. It took me a long time to get comfortable with it. Because like everyone wants to be like a cool wrestler, they wants to be called Cheeseburger. But once like I saw how the Ring of Honor fan base really grew to embrace it and how much they loved it, and once I kind of started to figure out like who I was as a person, I really started to embrace it more. And I was really, in hindsight, I was really like thankful that the fans embraced it so much, and that especially in Baltimore where it was like born at. Like I would go back to Baltimore and then it would be huge reactions to just because the fans there, the Ring of Honor fans that came regularly, they knew that was the place that Cheeseburger was born, and I was always like, they always got a good reaction there.
Oh man, can you talk about being in starting getting your start in Ring of Honor and then having a match on Ring of Honor under Tony Khan? Can you talk about those two different regimes of Ring of Honor?
Yeah, so I was in the original Ring of Honor from the time I was 17 to about 29. So from 2010 until it was purchased, and all of our contracts were voided in about, I believe the company was bought in 2013, correct? 2012, 2022? 2022. No, 2022.
22.
Yeah, 2022 was purchased. So from 2010 to 2021, so 11 years I was in Ring of Honor, and that was first as a student, and then eventually as a member of the roster. So I literally grew up in Ring of Honor in that locker room. I grew up from 17 to 28 years old, and I saw a lot of different changes to Ring of Honor and went through a lot of different managements. I've seen the company go from being on HDNet to where no one can watch it, to being on Destination America and being on Sinclair Broadcasting. And I see that saw the company under Kerry Soken prosper and then almost go out of business, and then Sinclair buying us and being owned by a corporation. So saw the stuff we got to do in New Japan, got to do Madison Square Garden. So it was awesome to just be there for all of that. And I don't think people really realized how long I was actually there in that company. And yeah, just being there as a student and training, it was absolutely wonderful. I'm so thankful that I started in that environment because it was the best training environment and the best locker room that I could have asked for as a young wrestler to grow up in. Just getting to be around people like the Briscoes and Christopher Daniels and Kevin Steen, Kevin Owens, El Generico, Roderick Strong, Adam Cole, like just getting to be in that locker room, like you have to be good to be in that locker room and to make it on that roster. And I was very thankful to be in that environment that pushed me to be better. And yeah, it was by far some of the best years of my career. I missed the main thing I miss about the current Ring of Honor is absolutely fantastic as well in its own right. I mainly miss just the camaraderie of that locker room. Everyone's kind of spread out now. We're all in different companies. Some people are new Ring of Honor, some people went to whether it be WWE or TNA or whatever it may be. I just miss those like kind of like last few like years of just like being there with like the the Briscoes and like the Kingdom is there, and like War Machine is there, and like when Adam Cole and those guys were there and Kevin was there, and like I just kind of miss like just all those dudes in the locker room being in like one place where it's like, all right, a couple of times a month I'm gonna see Mark and Jay and we're gonna get to talk and things like that.
Did it
Absolutely.
feel different when you came back and then you had your match? Did the locker room feel a little different?
Different, yes, but not in like bad way. It's different. It's different people. So you're gonna have that different like vibe. Like I said, everyone once Ring of Honor kind of got purchased, and everyone kind of went their separate ways. Some people found different paths in other companies, things like that. So the people that were there, my last like 2 years, I'll say like during the COVID era. A lot of those people I don't get to see as often. Like I don't get to see people like Silas Young, for example, or like Brian Johnson, guys like Shane Taylor, they're there, and I, love Shane. I love like, guys like Benny Marseglia, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, they're all there. But someone like Silas or like Brian Johnson, or like PJ Black, or like, Dragon Lee, for example, they're not there, and I don't get to see. So I just miss that. Like, I just been seeing like everybody together. It's wrestling. It happens. We don't ever say bye, forever. We just say bye until I see you next. And things change. But so I would say it's different, but again, not in a bad way. Just it's different people. You're gonna have different vibes.
Absolutely. So last week we had everybody's uncle, Bob Evans, on the
Okay,
show. Yeah, and he talked about you guys' time as a tag team. So tell us your experiences being a tag team with Uncle Bob, and growing from that, from being the little guy that everyone said, okay, you know what, we're gonna give the kid a chance, and then growing to your time to going to Japan, and all the things that you've done from that point.
Yeah, tagging with Bob, that was my first like actual storyline in Ring of Honor, and that kind of got birthed by another thing. Some things in my career just happened by accident. That happened at an ROH tryout camp. They needed a tag team to wrestle two guys on one of the days, and me and Bob tagged up, and it ended up kind of like being a fun tag team that we did at one of the tryout camps. And Delirious was there. He was thinking like, oh, this might be like a good thing, because they needed something for Bob to do, because he was splitting away from Mike, Ben, and Maria, and they were kind of going off on their own. So they needed something for Bob to do, and then I wasn't doing anything, so it just kind of became a natural fit. And that was the first time I really had kind of a storyline to grow into instead of just random matches. So I really appreciate that. I learned a lot from Bob. He just helped me a lot with just like coming up with ideas. He was super creative. And that was like one of his first times like getting that like storyline. So he was, so hungry, and he wanted to make it work, and I wanted to make it work. And we had a really fun run as a team, and that led to an awesome feud that I love. I still think that was one of my favorite things I've done in my career, is my feud with Bob. And I thought it was super different than anything that was happening in Ring of Honor at the time. And I was really happy that we got to tell that story. We got to tell, like, me and Will Ferrara got to tell that story with Bob and Tim Hughes. And that led to me and Bob having a really fun match at Final Battle in, I believe, 2015 or 2016. And yeah, I learned a lot from Bob. Like, he was always a fantastic mentor, not just for me, but, for you, for everybody that came to those tryout camps, and just in general in that locker room. So yeah, Bob was fantastic. He was absolutely fantastic.
Give us
man,
a rundown.
Hold on. Before you get started, before you ask that question, Brutal Burgers is a great name, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
That was a great.
Bob came up with that. I think that was all Bob. And our finisher was the Sesame Seed Stunner, which is as a move. We was like a double backpack stunner into like a regular stunner, and I don't think I've seen anyone else like do that.
Man, that's awesome.
Give us a rundown of what a day is like with the tryout. I know for certain I've done so many of them, but on the production side, and coming in as a student, give us a rundown of what a tryout would look like.
Yeah, one of the cool things about being a student of the ROH school was that I was able to come to all the tryout camps and just do the drills and learn from everybody. And they're long days, as they're like they advertise like a 7 hour day, and ends up becoming like 10 hours because we're just sitting there having fun learning. But yeah, to be a panel of the coaches, and eventually I went from being a participant to being one of the coaches at the tryouts. But you have people, like I said, like Christopher Daniels, like the Briscoes, like Taven pop in, Roddy would be there sometimes, Delirious, Truth Martini, Jay Lethal, like Bob Evans, like Kevin Kelly would be there, a ton of people. And then it was just so much knowledge in that room, and so much knowledge throughout those days. And it was really cool to me, as when I became a coach, to really see people that were coachable and understood the advice and critiques that were given. And it was really cool to see someone do something on the first day and then be critiqued on it and given advice on it, and then the next day do that thing like even better, and follow that advice and really trying to improve and improve their confidence and everything. And I thought they were awesome. I'm sure some people would probably disagree, but I had always thought they were fun, and I thought they were essential to finding a lot of fantastic roster members for Ring of Honor. Like, so many amazing wrestlers came from there. Dalton Castle, Hanson, who's Ivar, Matt Taven, Vincent, guys who became main eventers. I can name all. I could look at the roster and name a whole ton of people, but those are like the first people that came to mind. Myself and Will Ferrara learned from those tryouts as well. And yeah, I thought they were fantastic. Again, those are just like me. It's like me reminiscing about the good old days, and just being around the people in that locker room was so incredible.
Oh man, you guys have like a triad kind of connection, the New York, New Jersey thing. Can you talk about being from New Jersey?
It's nothing special in my opinion. But Jersey's cool. I'm from Trenton originally. Yeah, Trenton's okay. I don't really have much to say about Trenton. It was Trenton's cool. But on the serious note, I do. I will always represent Trenton wherever I go. That's my hometown. And I'm one of outside of JJ Dillon, I believe I'm the only wrestler from Trenton. Or the only wrestler with any kind of name value from Trenton, unless you count Dennis Rodman. Wait, so
Technically, he's a wrestler. You know what I'm saying? Yep. NWO for life.
But it's cool. It's cool to represent Trenton all around the world. But yeah, Jersey's cool. Some people like Jersey, some people don't. I can take it or leave it. Jersey's Jersey. It is what it is.
Jersey is Jersey.
Yeah.
I like to give wrestlers an opportunity to talk about where they're from and some of the people who influenced them from that area. And you just said one of the names. Do you have any other wrestlers that influenced you from either New York, New Jersey, any of the surrounding areas?
Not necessarily from the surrounding areas, because at a young age, I was watching wrestling on TV with my dad, so he was always all the guys I saw on TV, a lot of them weren't really from my area. So for example, the earliest memories were people Austin and The Rock, and then seeing Chris Jericho and Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, Kurt Angle, guys like that, especially during that that hot era of SmackDown, when all those guys were just having killer matches. And honestly, the biggest inspiration for me for pro wrestling was when I discovered wrestling in Japan, and just seeing that on YouTube and things like that. And then once I learned about the indies, learning about the history of the New Jersey and New York scene, learning about guys from the Dogtown, guys trained by Homicide, and guys like Loki and Amazing Red, the SATs, all those guys from the New York scene that kind of set the standard of the New Jersey area. Jay Lethal as well, being from Elizabeth, New Jersey. Just people like that grew up in that scene that kind of built the independence around this in the early 2000s, and kind of set the crafted the path for the rest of us to walk on that in the Northeast. But I would say my biggest inspiration for wrestling was definitely once I got into Japanese wrestling, by far.
Talk about your experience with the Japanese wrestling. I know you have the, you have this thing. So, talk about the Shatai, palm strike, and everything, and how you became to be able to utilize that as a finisher and as part of your in-ring repertoire, and all your tours and travels with Japan, and all the connections you've made. You made some really big connections in Japan. So, tell us about that.
Yeah, Japan is by far my favorite place I've ever performed at. One of my favorite places I've ever visited. It's just, I love the culture. I fell in love with Japanese wrestling at a very young age, and a lot of their wrestlers inspired me. The first match I saw from Japan was randomly on YouTube. I saw Jushin Liger. You see, there we go. I seeing Jushin Liger and Great Muta have a match I was like, whoa, what am I watching? These guys look larger than life, and they're absolutely incredible. And then through the connection with Ring of Honor, I ended up going to New Japan, and I ended up doing 5 tours over there. They were all very short tours, but I did the Tokyo Dome 3 times. Their biggest show of the year, the Wrestle Kingdom 10, 11, and 12. And I wrestled in Cork and Hall, legendary venue as well. Most people I wrestled in at the Tokyo Dome was, I believe, the second or third time I went over, about 35,000 people. And yeah, it was absolutely amazing. I love the Japanese fans. I love the style. Everyone there is super just the New Japan to me is the absolute pinnacle of professional wrestling. It is just everything about it is what I love about wrestling, and the emotion, the drama, the intensity, everything about it is what I find. I gravitate towards wrestling, and I try to not necessarily pattern my style after that, but I try and find lessons and inspiration from the guys there. And getting to wrestle, I got to wrestle some tag with and wrestle against some incredible legends. Like I got to tag with Jushin Liger. I got to tag with Tiger Mask. I got to you wrestle against Fujiwara, who's a legend. Minoru Suzuki, Kojima, Tenzan, like all the Nakanishi, like Nagata, like all these incredible names. And I really thank my time in Japan as like being one of those things that helped me take it to the next level and getting to be in the ring with some amazing performers. But the Shotei Palm Strike came from, Liger was always my favorite wrestler once I discovered him, and getting to meet him in Ring of Honor, and he eventually became a mentor to me. We became tag partners in Ring of Honor and did stuff in New Japan. And the Shotei Palm Strike, one of his big moves, and I tried to do it in front of him at like a New Japan seminar, and I did terribly. And one of the guys from New Japan goes, "Hey, you want me to ask, you should ask Liger to teach you how to do the palm strike?" I was like, "Oh, you think he would?" The guy's like, "Yeah, let's go ask him." The guy brought me over, and I asked Liger. He showed me how to do the palm strike, and from then on, that kind of like was the start of that, student mentor relationship.
Awesome. Speaking of student mentor, you coming from the Ring of Honor training facility as a student yourself, and now being the trainer for the school now. Are you still at the Bristol
Yep,
location,
yep,
or did
yep.
you
At
move?
my school is in the same exact building as the Ring of Honor school was.
Okay. Tell us about that transition from coming from student to teacher, and
Yep.
the things that you incorporate from what you've learned and things that you created yourself and that you instill in your students now.
So I started as a student at the Ring of Honor School in 2010. And I eventually, just by being around all the time and just by understanding how things, operated, at least mechanically, I eventually became an assistant trainer there. When they kind of rebranded the Ring of Honor Academy to the Ring of Honor Dojo, myself and Will Ferrar were named as assistant trainers to help with Delirious, who was the head trainer from when I had first started. And, I was the assistant trainer from about 2016 until they closed in about 2018. And 2018, the company that owned us, Sinclair, they were shutting down the school and moving it to Baltimore to reopen it as like a new kind of developmental type system, essentially. And the school in Bristol was closing, so Baltimore, from here is about 2.5, 3 hour drive. So my students here wouldn't have a place to train unless they wanted to make that drive. And there was also kind of a little weirdness about who would be welcome at the new school and everything that I don't want to get into. But my students essentially would have nowhere to train. So I decided to talk to the landlord here and, give it a go and see if I could reopen the school under my own name. And the landlord was super cool and worked with me. I signed the lease. I bought the ring from Ring of Honor. I got to keep all the weight equipment, and I kind of moved a couple of things around, but for the most part, it's still the same place. And I opened in 2018. I opened the Worldwide Wrestling Dojo. And we've been going strong for almost 6 years now.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. I'm proud of you for all that.
Thank you, thank you, thank
I'm very
you.
proud of you. Go ahead, Brian.
Is it difficult running a school like that? And I know that you have the freedom to do different trainings that you probably wish that you had coming up. You know what I'm saying? Even though you had an amazing
Yeah,
story, man, of just expertise that you were blessed with, and now you're able to teach that. But
yeah.
is it difficult to run a school, a full-fledged program?
Yes, yes, and I mean, yeah, it is. There's on the business side of things, obviously just making sure you are advertising enough to get a constant influx of students, so you have money to pay rent and keep the lights on, things like that. That's obviously the first issue. Dealing with insurance things, making sure other people, being mindful of your neighbors in the building, because a pro wrestling school is extremely loud, and we're in a building that has other people, other businesses in it during the daytime, so we have to be mindful of that. And as a trainer, just, now you go from being a student to being the mentor in, someone else's life. And, there's that, whether it's like a strong relationship or not, you have a certain relationship with all of your students, as, and you're in some capacity responsible for, you know, their upbringing in wrestling. Obviously everyone's their own person, but you as a trainer, you know, you have to kind of guide them on the right path, and you have to be mindful of teaching them to do things the right way, like, you know, not just in the wrestling ring, but outside the ring, with in terms of etiquette and whatever it may be, and doing business the right way, and how to navigate this insane pro wrestling world that makes no sense. You know, the pro wrestling world doesn't make sense to regular people. It just doesn't. It doesn't make any sense at all. But we have to kind of find ways to navigate that as best as possible, and it's our job as trainers to help them navigate that. And then it's also, you have to be what's the word I'm looking for? And the mentor side of things, sometimes you have to serve different roles. Like, you have to be, you know, that person that has to give someone like a kick in the butt and tell them when they're messing up and doing things wrong. And you have to be that shoulder for them to cry on sometimes, and, you know, open up to. And you have to have that. There's a lot of things you have to juggle from both a business side of things and then from a personality side. Every student is different. Everyone has different personalities. Everyone's their own person, and everyone, and at least in my opinion, I don't think everyone can be taught the exact same way. In the sense of, some students may need a low rougher training, in the sense that you have to be a little bit more strict with them. They kind of need that. They adapt more to that. And some people you have to be a little bit softer with, and that's just the nature of it. I don't think there's like a one size fits all way to train people, and that's just not with wrestling. That's just life in general. That's my opinion. So you have to kind of you start to learn kind of each student and kind of what works best for them. And some people you can show them one thing and they can just do it. Other people you have to kind of hold their hand a little bit more and all right, do this here, put your hand here, turn this way, spin this way, go this way. Okay, now do it again by yourself. And just over the last few years, I've been working on navigating that and learning that, and also trying to keep a very good positive environment. I feel like we've done a pretty good job of not having a lot of negativity be present in the school. And that's a big thing. I've seen and I've heard so many people coming up with so many negative stories about wrestling school, and how the environment that they came up in was full of bullying and whatever it may be, from bullying to things that are way worse than that we won't have to get into. But my goal is to create a positive, hardworking environment for our students, and I want the name of the Worldwide Wrestling Dojo to mean something in wrestling. So if a student comes from the school, I want that to mean something. And I think in the last year or two, our reputation has really started to grow, and this has become a place where it's okay, you're coming from Worldwide Dojo, we know, you're trained by Burger, you know what you're doing, and you're going to be a good person. So that's why I want. Sorry for the long-winded answer.
No, you're good.
When I hear the name of your school, it just brings me back to those old kung fu movies that I used to watch, man, and where you have school versus school and teacher versus teacher. Is that something that could ever happen?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Where you have different schools, like wrestling schools. Is that something where wrestling schools compete? Is it something that goes on?
Some schools have done shows like that where it's school versus school, but they're not super common. I've thought about kind of toying with that for we have a weekly YouTube show that we do with our students called Capture Lightning on the Worldwide Wrestling Dojo YouTube channel. I thought about doing something like that where it's been like a school versus school, 5-on-5 type thing. I haven't really fully fleshed out the concept yet, and I don't know what form I wanted to take, but it's something I thought about, where it's 5 of our students versus 5 of another school students, and put them against each other.
I would love to see that, man. I think that's a great idea. You can just go around from dojo to dojo to school and challenge everybody.
Absolutely,
What I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be cool. I think that'd be a cool concept.
You talk very highly about your students and the knowledge in which they get from you and how they carry themselves. You had a student that made his debut, Ison.
Yeah.
Tell us about that moment when you sat back and you watched him go out there and do his thing, and how well he did, and what that meant to you in that moment.
Yeah. I trained Eli back when it was the ROH school. I believe he started in 2016, 2017. and like the second or third class of students that we had at the new ROH dojo. And he's very talented, natural athlete. Had done football, amateur wrestling, things like that, and he was one of the people that picked up wrestling very quickly. And at the time, I believe he had one of the fastest debuts from first day into wrestling school into having a match on an actual show. And he debuted in about 5 months, I'm going to say 5, maybe 6 months, which is like very quick for, at least for my training program. And yeah, he's fantastic. He has done a lot of cool stuff. Him and Ryan Mooney, they came down that aisle with me at Madison Square Garden, which was really cool to have two of my students with me. We were a trio in Ring of Honor. He had ended up signing a contract with Ring of Honor at a very young age. But yeah, he's killing it. He's still crushing it on the independent scene. He's gotten some opportunities in Mexico as well. He's going with me to Germany. Done some awesome stuff. Had some crazy matches in Ring of Honor. But yeah, Eli's doing great, and it's always like, especially when I'm able to be there, it's always so cool for me to see one of my students debut, because like I saw them for their first day coming in, being like a nervous kid and like doing the workouts on the floor and the squats and the push-ups and everything, to now walking out in front of a crowd and making their name.
Absolutely. The first match, the first title you've held.
Yeah.
Tell us about that moment and how did that feel, saying that you are a champion for a company?
Yeah, it was cool. The first title I had, I believe, was the crab wrestling title. They called it. It's like crab wrestling in like Maryland. I don't know why they called it crab wrestling. I guess because but I believe I beat Logan Easton LaRue I beat Logan Easton LaRue for his title. And that was like years ago, and that was like my first title. It was cool. It was very cool, because I think anytime a company is willing to put a title on you, it means a lot, and it means they're willing to invest in you in some regard, and they see you as some sort of important piece to the company. So yeah, it was awesome to finally like hold a title like that, and I managed to hold a couple of titles since then, and each one to me is very special, and I take that as I see a level of importance to that, because I am representing the company. I'm not just someone being brought in. I'm now a piece of the company that is representing them. So my matches need to reflect that.
Absolutely. Speaking of investments, a lot of people, a lot of wrestlers that are starting out fresh don't really get the idea of investing in themselves, especially in terms of gear. Now,
Yes.
Cheeseburger, when you first started, let's talk about how the evolution of how your gear went from when you first started to what it is now, and the showmanship of what you have now.
Yeah. So I was always like really fascinated by people as a fan that had really nice wrestling gear. So that was always something with me. I always wanted to make sure I had, quality stuff. So my first few sets of gear were actually Daisy Hayes, who was the other head trainer along with Delirious. She would make gear for the students at the Ring of Honor school. So I actually hand drew my first set of gear, which was like a vest and long tights and some kick pads. And I drew they had like a cheeseburger on it, and everything is a black and gold set. And I always made sure that no matter what set of gear I had, it would always look good on TV. Even for my first set, sometimes people get their first set of gear, it's not that great, whatever. But my first set of gear, I always made sure, because learning through the Ring of Honor dojo, you're learning under a TV company. So I always want to make sure my stuff was always TV ready as much as possible. And I started I was very skinny and out of shape, so I wanted to wear the vest. I would wear the vest long tights for a while. And then I eventually got a little bit more confidence. I started, switching to like a little tighter, like the lucha top, like the little 2-piece gimmick. And then once I got a little bit more in shape, I took the top off. I started wearing just the tights, and eventually switched to trunks for a little bit when I changed my gimmick up a bit. And that was a weird period, because wearing trunks feels so weird, because it feels like you're wrestling in your underwear. And now I wrestle in I have these like cool airbrush jeans that one of my student paints for me. And those are awesome and super unique, that like I want something that like no one else was really doing at the time. And yeah, now I have like the big fur coat, I have the cowboy hat, the sunglasses for my entrance gear and all that. And again, especially with Japanese wrestling, like when people came out and like Liger and Muda, like their presentation was so amazing. And right away you like, this person is a superstar. Like I want to watch this person. So that's why I want, that's why I have the fur coat and the hat and the glasses, and I always make sure I have good quality stuff. And I tell it to my students, like, you got to look TV ready. You never know when you're going to get that call.
Absolutely. You had a really big moment where you were gifted a mask. Tell us about that moment and who that was with.
Yeah, that was with Delirious. That was for like that was our last. That was the last taping that we did for Ring of Honor after we all found out we were getting fired, basically. So that was our last TV taping, and it was a very extremely emotional day for everybody because we didn't know what was going to happen with the company. We didn't know if Ring of Honor was going to come back. You know, people had families to feed and everything, and we had got a call the 2 weeks before that. All our contracts were the company was going on hiatus. This was a couple months before it was sold. It was going on hiatus, and we would our contract would be ending in December at the end of the year. And so that was our last. So we all had to go out and perform, knowing that we would not have a job at the end of the year. So you can imagine how that was. But again, like I said, that locker room was so amazing and so strong because we all just kind of banded together. It's like we're going out with a bang, and we're gonna do the best as possible. So I got and just because of the storyline going on, it just happened that I got to wrestle Delirious, you know, my mentor, my trainer, like one of my best friends in professional wrestling in that last match. And the storyline was like, I finally beat my trainer and I finally surpassed my trainer. And I beat him in the match. And I didn't even know this was happening, but it was super emotional. But he took his mask off and gave it to me as a gift. And I just burst out into tears in the middle of the ring. Like you can see the clip on YouTube, Cheeseburger vs. Delirious. We're just sitting in the ring hugging and I'm just bawling my eyes out. And yeah, it wasn't because because of the mask. It was because none of us knew what was going to happen. Like we didn't know. It was super emotional. We thought this would be the last time we all saw each other.
Gotcha. Brian?
Man, listen, you have some great matches, man. Who do you feel like were some of your most challenging opponents?
Challenging in terms of in terms of like putting the match together, or just like doing the match, like the physical aspect, or like in terms of.
Well, I'll say favorite. I would say who are some of your favorite opponents? Yeah.
A lot of people like Delirious, like I said, comes to mind. Like we had so many fantastic matches. Wheeler Yuta, anytime I got to wrestle Yuta, he's tremendous, like absolutely amazing. Silas Young, we had some fantastic matches. I've won a TV title match I had with Silas is one of my favorites. Will Ferrara, we again just like the Bob Evans feud. Me and Will had a year-long feud that ended in this really fun hardcore match. Uncle Bob, me and Bob had great chemistry. We did a bunch of tag matches together, a couple of singles matches, and that was like the first feud that again I really was able to just like grow and make my own, and just like show fans that I can be more than just a wrestler. I can tell a story. Rhett Titus. Well, you know, old Rhett who made the name of Cheeseburger, wrestled Rhett a million times. LSG, Shaheem Ali, Victor, you remember LSG and Ali coast to coast. We had me and Will had a bunch of matches with them, and yeah, I mean it's a bunch of people I can name, but those are some of my favorites that come to mind. I'm missing tons of people, I'm sure, and I feel really bad about that. But those are some of my favorites.
Oh man, awesome. You had a background in digital film, right? I believe you went to community college.
Yeah, I mean that's a random fun fact, but I mean I went to community college for about a year. I was actually just telling someone about that earlier today, so it's funny you brought that up. I went to digital film, did college for about a year, and the wrestling started picking up, so I ended up just following the wrestling path. But yeah, I mean, it was cool. I learned a lot for TV production that helped me with video editing and things like that, and framing up cameras and shots. And I honestly just took it to help me with wrestling, which is what I ended up doing anyway. So yeah, it ended up serving its purpose. I learned a lot about just production, and I used a lot of those skills to help produce our YouTube show.
Awesome. In terms of the fans, the Ring of Honor fans have been the most dynamic fans I've ever been around, because they will let you know how they feel. You know, you have the WWE fans who will just, it's just a wildfire of everybody doing the same thing. Then you have the AEW fans who pretty much do the same thing. But the Ring of Honor fans were like, if they didn't like you, they didn't like you. If they liked you, they liked you. You know, and if they really got behind you about something, that was something. Like, for instance, there was a moment when I came and did Ring Crew, and I want to say it was at the ECW Arena. And it was that night where they were throwing streamers, and the streamer got hung on the lights. You remember that?
Yep,
And
yep.
it was like, hey, we need somebody to climb up there and get that streamer up there. And I climbed to the top and pulled that streamer down. And it was just the smallest thing is what got them invested in whatever we were doing. Like me climbing up, and they were like cheering for me
Yeah,
to
yeah,
climb
yeah.
up to the top. And then they did the whole, the whole New Day boom, boom, boom thing, and just went crazy. But
Oh yeah, yeah, yep.
and you talked about
I
how
remember.
they
I remember the Kofi like moment happened, and you hit the boom, boom, boom.
and you speak about how they got invested behind your character. Um, when that moment happened for you, what was that like?
It was incredible, but I would say I was too young or too green to fully appreciate it at the time. And then, granted, they were with me my whole career, but I didn't really start to appreciate it later on. And that kind of feeds into the thing I said about me not really wanting to be Cheeseburger. So I wasn't really able to appreciate the fan reaction I was getting. And, the main goal of every wrestler is to be over, and the Cheeseburger character was over. But I think also, too, I felt like I didn't know at first if they were laughing with me or laughing at me, which kind of led to me kind of not being able to fully embrace the character. And then over time, I realized that no, these people like genuinely, like me as a character, as a wrestler, and they want to see me succeed. And that was kind of the turning point where I started to realize, like, yeah, like this is something that they love, and this is something I should embrace and make the best of.
Absolutely. One independent match that I remember seeing advertised, and when I saw it, I was like, finally, because I was waiting for it. It was Cheeseburger versus Hot Dog.
Yes. Yeah, hot dog. Oh, hot dog.
And when I saw it, I was like, that's it. I don't need to see nothing else. That was it. Tell us about Hot Dog just really quick. I mean, he's a really good guy. I mean, he has this character that he pulled together.
Yeah.
And how did that all work out for you guys?
Hot Dog, he's the man. Like Hot Dog Starks, he's a wrestler in the New Jersey, New York area. I believe he's originally trained at the Wrestle Pro School or like around that general area. I've known Hot Dog for years, and I always knew who he was, but we never really crossed paths. And then a show in the Bronx for EC Negro like years ago, one of his first shows, he booked me and Hot Dog in the main event, and we had one of my favorite matches ever because it was a really fun wrestling match, but it was also full of all these shenanigans. So, for example, we had a spot where the referee got bumped, right? So I hit Hot Dog with a move. I cover. There's no referee. A second referee comes out, but instead of a referee shirt, they're wearing a mustard outfit. Comes in. Mustard 1, 2, kick out. We do a little thing. Mustard referee gets bumped. Hot Dog hits me with a move. Covered. No referee. Catch-up referee slides in there. 1, 2, we do another thing. Catch-up referee gets bumped. We go to the finish. Regular referee comes in. 1, 2, 3. And it was such a good match. It was so much fun. And from there, me and Hot Dog started getting booked as a tag team for a while. We were called Meat on the Mission, actually. Meat on the Mission. If fans don't know, after Men on the Mission in WWF. We tagged for a bit, and then we actually wrestled again. Casanova Valentine runs these no ring bar shows in Brooklyn, and we did it called New Fear City, and they usually do a lot of death matches and hardcore matches. Me and Hot Dog, we did on the 4th of July. Myself and Hot Dog were booked in a basically a picnic street fight essentially, where we had our a cookout street fight. We had our weapons were spatulas, tongs. We did a door with a little tablecloth on it. That was a picnic table. We had we had used hot dogs, burgers and everything. So the finish was, we set up the picnic table. We had on 2 chairs, the door, picnic cloth. I beat up Hot Dog. I put a bunch of, McDonald's burgers on it. Hot Dog stops me. He put a bunch of hot dogs on. I stop. Instead of a third food item, I pull out thumbtacks, put them on the table. Hot Dog gives me a rock bomb through the door with the burgers, hot dogs, and thumbtacks, and gives me 1, 2, 3. And that was actually on my birthday too. So or the day after my birthday. So it was a really special match for me. And the crowd sang happy birthday after. But yeah, I love wrestling Hot Dog. He's the man.
Oh, that's great, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Well, look, for some reason, and I know his ass is itching because he want to go ahead and get into it. On this show, for some strange reason, Mr. Everything has some type of a beef with the wrestlers that come on here. I don't know what it is, man. But I think that Mr. Everything has some words for you. We do this thing each and every show. We got to go to promo school, and I want you to cut a scathing promo against Mr. Everything, Victor Andrews.
A scathing promo? I'm not really
A scathing
I think I kill him with kindness.
promo. Beautiful people, we's going to promo school. All right, who got first, Mr. Everything? You want to go first? Or you want the world famous Cheeseburger to do his thing?
World famous Cheeseburger. Go ahead. You have the honors, brother. You have the floor.
Reasonable response.
All right. Oh, so you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go ahead. I want to hear what you got to say.
All right. The world was not ready for a very long time to see someone with such a talent such as yours.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you weren't ready to be the talent that you are today. And that seems to be a pattern for you because in this moment, in this time, in this presence, you're not ready for me. You see, as many times you and I have stepped into a locker room together, as many times we shook hands, gave hugs, I've given you a shape up. We've never stepped in a ring with each other. It's about time that Victor Andrews and Cheeseburger cross paths.
Yeah, I like
Cheeseburger, by the end of the night, when we're done in that ring, it won't be just me lining you up. I'm just going to lay you out and then line up your students for whoever wants to be next.
Oh, my God. Cheeseburger, he don't win at you. He don't win after your hairline. He don't win after your students.
I'm not ready to concede defeat, man. You got me at the I forgot you gave me a line though. Holy crap. I forgot. Oh, man, you always had the Clippers. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. That was good. Damn. Look, I'm not gonna cut a scathing promo, but Mr. Everything, Victor Andrews. I've known you for close to 10 years now. Close to 10 years. And I've seen you. You got that chip on your shoulder, man. Like I really see it. Like I can still tell. I can tell it's still there. I can tell like it eats away at you. And you someone that I have wished so much success for. I wanted to see so much success for. And I think you know, sometimes people are their own worst enemy. And Mr. Everything, you know, you might be your head might be a little too big for that body, man. You might be a little too high. You might need to humble yourself a little bit. So I have this is real. I wanted to have this match for a long time. And I think that I will manifest in this year, next year, whenever that, before one of our careers is over, this match will happen. But you say I'm not ready, man. I'm going to drag you into deep waters because you see me. You know what I'm about. You see me wrestle. You've seen the technical skill, the technical acumen. You know who I've trained by. You know the people I've been in the ring with. You know what I'm about, and you know that again. There's not any limb you have. I can bend it. I can break it. Any hole you put me in, I can get out of it. And man, you're gonna be in deep waters. But Cheeseburger versus Mr. Everything, I want to see it.
Let's do it.
Oh man! Take my money now. Take my money.
Also, the loser has to line the other person up.
Hey, you know what's funny? You know what's funny? I did the promo battle with Uncle Bob last week, and I finally got something that I've been waiting for from him for a very long time.
Really?
Iron Man match for Iron Week.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I know he's doing it on Iron Week. That's awesome.
Yes. He said he's ready to do it. Huh?
Does he have a date yet?
Not yet. We're gonna talk and see what happens. But I've been waiting for that for a very long time. And I know you've had the Iron Week with him. So really
No,
quick, just talk about that really quick, and then we're gonna close you out because I know you ready to go home, brother.
no, that's all good. No, that was awesome. I really love that. We got to do it for a wonderful charity. We got to help raise money for Hana Kimura's charity with her mom after her unfortunate passing. And yeah, I've seen Bob do Iron Week, and I love to challenge myself, however possible. And I hadn't done 60 minutes in like a couple of years at that point. But anytime I ever done it, it was always in like training. I had never done it on like an actual for consumption for fans, and we got to live stream that one. And man, that match was so fun. It was just being in the element, just wrestling, just reacting, and just telling a story without planning anything, just working. And just Bob is so good at everything. And I think we went like 20 falls to like 19 or something like that. It was like something crazy like that, man. It was actually kind of wild. It was really fun. But we just did it, man. It was fantastic, and it will really test you and really challenge you, and I really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Well, look, man, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, man. Let the beautiful people know what you got going on and where can they find you.
Yeah, if you want to follow me on social media, you can find me on Twitter at Cheeseburger ROH. I still have the ROH in my name because I think it's kind of funny to still keep. I had it before because I didn't want to lose my verification, but then Elon Musk took the verification away from everybody. So
Yeah.
I still got it. I just think it's kind of funny to keep it in there, and everyone just can find me easily at that. So at Cheeseburger ROH on Twitter, at World Famous CB on Instagram. Really mess with Facebook too often. And please follow my wrestling school on our YouTube channel. Look up the Worldwide Wrestling Dojo on YouTube. Captured Likeness is our YouTube show. We do matches with our students every week. My goal this year is to get to 1,000 subscribers. I believe we're at like 890 as of March today. So I think we can get to 1,000 by the end of the year, and that's one of my goals. And growing that channel and continue to promote our students in their school is great. If you're in the Northeast, or if you're not in the Northeast, you're going to move out here and find a fantastic wrestling school. WorldwideWrestlingDojo.com. You can follow us on Worldwide Dojo on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And I post a lot of clips from our training. I post pictures. I post highlight reels of things. So come check us out and give us a visit.
Awesome, man. We love to support the family that comes on the show, man. So anything that you post up, brother, that we see, we definitely going to repost that thing and support you in your growth for your school, man. So we got you. Yeah, got your back, MC Cataract. That was a house party reference. If you,
Good deal.
Oh man, listen, we do this thing each and every show, man, and it's a way for us to give a little bit of motivation and a way for us to give a word to help people get through their week. I'm gonna go ahead and start off with Mr. Everything, and then I'm gonna let you go, Mr. Cheeseburger. But Mr. Everything, do you have a word of advice? Do you have some motivation? Do you have a final word for your beautiful subjects?
Yes, my final word is don't worry about the man behind the curtain.
Mm.
And that's just it. Don't worry about the man behind the curtain. I think a lot of people are so worried about who's pulling the strings and how individuals getting to their stardom, how they got into where they're at. And they want it so bad that they want to see the man behind the curtain. This man that's behind the curtain for Cheeseburger is not the same man that's behind the curtain for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing for Brian. So don't worry about how someone else got to where they're at. Just follow your own yellow brick road, and you'll make it to Oz in no time.
Yellow Brick Road, Wizard of Oz reference for the one and only Scarecrow of the Best Damn Wrestling Podcast, Mr. Everything.
Yeah.
Oh man, the world famous Cheeseburger. Do you have a final word for your beautiful subjects?
I'm glad you actually said that. Kind of plays into a favorite quote of mine, and this actually comes from, if anyone follows the NBA, Damian Lillard. He was asked in an interview, another basketball player who was way worse than Damian Lillard, got this like big 5-year, I don't remember who it was, but this big like 5-year like huge salary. And they asked Damian Lillard about it in the interview, like, oh, how do you feel about such and such getting this like 5-year like max deal and like you're getting paid this much? And Damian Lillard said something along the lines of, never count another man's bread. And I like that quote, not just from the monetary aspect of it, but so many people look at someone else and they look at the money they're making, the car they drive, the success they have achieved, and it breeds negativity in them because they're like, why does this person have that? Why don't I have that? Why don't I remember say the Dave Chappelle skit with the player hated the ball with I think it was Buck Nasty. He's like, or no, so the character Ice-T played. I forgot who it was. He's like, so he got 2 calls. He only got one. I only got 1 call. Why he got 2 calls? He's like, he need 2 calls.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't remember his character name, but just hating for no reason. He's like, why he got 2 cars? He only got 1 car. I only got no cars. Why he need 2 cars? I need 1. But never count another person's bread. And I think that I'll hear like people, even like some of my students say like, oh, this person's doing this, and this, and it's like, I should be doing that. It's like, well, like you don't know the path that person took to get there. Like you don't know like what trials and tribulations they have to go through to get there. And their path might not be your path. Maybe they had an easy path to get there. Maybe your path is a lot harder. But like, it doesn't matter. Like who, like over at the end of the day, like as long as you're staying true to yourself and you're following your path, like it doesn't matter. Like so, but not just from a money aspect, but just like a success aspect. You can only control what you can control, and that's your thing. But yeah, never count another man's bread.
Never count another man's bread. I like that one. You know what I'm saying? Stick to your own crackers. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you got to count your own crackers and chips.
Absolutely.
Count somebody else's bread. I like that one. That was a great word from the one and only world famous Cheeseburger.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, sir. Beautiful people, my final word would be difficult roads often lead to beautiful destinations. Sometimes the rockiest roads that you go on, the more obstacles that you have in that road, you take it as a lesson and you learn from it. And the wise, they grow from it. You know what I'm saying? So some people see an obstacle as something that can stop them on their path to where they're trying to go. But the wise take that and they learn from it and they adjust. You know what I'm saying? And some of the most beautiful people that you will ever meet have had the most difficult lives or difficult times getting to where they are. You know what I'm saying? The ultimate underdogs, I would say.
Right.
But to be honest with you, it's those obstacles and the things that you go through which makes the destination even more beautiful when you get there because of everything that you went through. You know what I mean? So don't be afraid of confrontation. Don't be afraid of obstacles. Don't be afraid of challenges. Embrace them.
Mm-hmm.
Learn from them. Bruce Lee would invite people to try to fight him so that he can learn how to defeat them. You know what I'm saying? So don't fret if your road ain't golden, like the yellow brick road in this everything. Don't fret if you don't have a yellow brick road. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes those pothole roads and roads that got stuff in it, sometimes those lead to a better destination because you appreciate everything when you get there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So embrace your challenges. I'm just echoing what the other fella said. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm doing. I'm just echoing what he said. You know what I mean? That is your final word from your boy, Brian Renegade. Oh man, listen. World famous Cheeseburger. I can't wait to see you in the ring with Mr. Everything and you whoop his ass.
Let's get it cracking somewhere again. Let's get it booked somewhere.
With extra cheese and onions. You know what I'm saying? It's going down, Jack. It's going down. Oh man, Mr. Everything, do you want to say something to our esteemed guests?
I want to say thank you, man. And again, I'm so proud of you and everything that you've done and everything that you're doing now. Continue doing what you're doing. You are now a part of the alumni of the Best Damn Wrestling Podcast. We've had interviews with Rhett Titus. We've had Gangrel. We've had Ron Simmons, R-Truth, Bob Evans. Man, the list goes on and on and on. And now you're a part of our alumni. We thank you. We appreciate you. And I can't wait to take those pickles off the top of your head and spin you around and then make a cheeseburger shake out of you when I get a chance.
Hell yeah, man. I hope we get to make it happen.
Absolutely. Brian Renegade, you ready to take us home, man?
Yeah, man. We can't hold you no longer. If you want to follow the show, you can follow us on Instagram at the Best Damn Wrestling Podcast. You can go to our Facebook group, the Best Damn Wrestling Podcast. If you want to follow our Facebook page, you can go to our page where we have all our content on the BD Wrestling Podcast. You can go over to X or Twitter, as it was formerly known as, on Best Damn Crew. You can go over to our Twitch, the Best Damn Wrestling Podcast, and we even have a TikTok at Best Damn Wrestling Crew. And do yourself a favor. Go to our Best Damn store and get you some damn merchandise. You know what I'm saying? We got some stuff over there. You can check it out at our store. So go to www.bestdamnwrestlingstore to get your best damn merchandise. You can get you a Mr. Everything shirt or a hat.
That's right.
If you got a wife, you can get you a shirt that says Best Damn Wife. She'll be happy. She'll be happy.
Beautiful people, really quick. We're going to close out, but before we do, don't forget, we're still going to have a show on Wednesday. Even though today's Monday and we here in your house, on your TV, or on your radio. Shout out to the truckers out there listening to us. We're still going to be here Wednesday. So tune in on Wednesday because we got another interview coming up for you guys. That's what we do. We line them up.
Back up, bro.
Yeah, I know. Your Irish is real big. Boy, I saw your soul for a second.
Yeah, I was like, I gotta get a picture of that.
Oh man, Mr. Cheeseburger, I'm gonna have you help us close us out. When I say the best, I'm gonna point to you, and I want you to say your best damn. Okay, I want you to say damn. The only way the Cheeseburger can say damn.
Okay.
I don't know if your mama would approve you of cussing, but I'm
give a shout out when I do this damn to one of my friends, New Jersey wrestler Jay Haru. I'm gonna do his signature pose when I hit this damn. Okay. So shout out to Jay.
All right. Shout out to him. We will see you next week on the next Best.
Damn.
Damn. Wrestling Podcast. Cheeseburger, you are a gentleman and a scholar, sir. Thank you so much for being on this show. You are welcome every and any time. If you want to come and just talk shit with us, man, just come on the show, brother. You know what I'm saying? If you got some students that need some media training, send them on to us. We got you.
Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you, man. Beautiful people, we bid you adieu.